Hello, friends, and welcome to episode 176 of The Rewind, a podcast dedicated to keeping its listeners on the cutting edge of the upcoming MMORPG, Pantheon Rise of the Fallen. What a week it's been for the game we love to talk about most, but before we get into that, Draq and I always want to take a moment to thank everyone for their support. We are so grateful for all of you taking the time to listen to us at the premiere, on YouTube, or now available on all your favorite podcast places. As always, if you like what we do here, we would love your support if you have the means to do so. Patreon or YouTube subscriptions and super chats are a great way to help us. However, we know this time of the year is always a bit tighter on the budget, so a simple like and subscribe can go a long way without having to spend $1. It's been such a whirlwind since early access launch, and Draq and I have done nothing but play the game, so we had a great show to give you this week with our opening impressions of what Wild End has to offer the player. We felt that just our opinions couldn't do the show justice, so we've brought several of our friends who stream with us on the flagship program of the Static Group Live channel, After Dark, which streams on Monday nights at midnight Eastern. Get ready for the most chaotic rewind yet as I try to edit 4 voices at one time. Now, on with the show!
Beneath a blood-red moon, the party stood before the towering gates of the Goblin Fortress, its battlements crawling with torch-lit sentries. Ziplocks melted into the shadows, his dual daggers gleaming faintly with dim light. "This lock's tricky, but I've got this," he whispered, slipping forward. Annoying Llama tightened the wraps on his fist. "The moment the gates open, I'll lead the charge." Behind him, Archbishop hefted his warhammer. "Don't get too far ahead, monk. You'll need a shield to catch the arrows," the dwarf grunted. From the rear, Screech strummed his lute, a dissonant tune resonating in the air. "A distraction," he hissed, his reptilian eyes narrowing as the goblins turned their heads towards the sound. With a faint click, the gate creaked open, and Churro-Dude summoned a small elemental. The fiery creature darted forward, igniting a pile of goblin munitions. Chaos erupted as explosions shook the fortress. Anton Duviditis chanted softly, conjuring a spectral glyph that shielded the group as they rushed inside. Goblins swarmed, but the party moved as one. Annoying Llama's swift strikes, Archbishop's unyielding defense, and Ziplock's precision dismantled their foes. "Onward to the warrior's chambers," Anton called, his staff aglow. The fortress would fall before dawn.
This week in Visionary Realms News and Notes.
Special early access Pantheon Rise of the Fallen reaction. We have had like 18 hours of streaming this weekend, and we have played Pantheon in Wild's End till level 13.5, and we are very excited to share our thoughts with you today.
This is like the busiest weekend of Pantheon I've ever had, ever. Even more than our no sleep till whatever, blah, 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 blah. 3 days of this, and now I have to record the rewind? Ugh. I'm exhausted. I don't even want to think about Pantheon anymore. Just kidding. We're actually going to go play as soon as we're done here.
It's going to be super fun.
Yeah.
We can't get enough because it is super fun.
This week, Draq, we invited our friends, like I said in the intro. So today we've got Mr. C and GuloGulo. Good gamer, kinda. Plays the enchanter pretty well, kinda. Just kidding. He's actually the greatest enchanter. Way better than Random Rob. Doesn't even listen to this show anymore. What a jerk. And then everyone's favorite ranger, Mr. C. So we're going to kind of talk about our classes a little bit. Draq's going to ask us some questions. We all had our roles to play in the group, and we want to just give everyone our opinions on how the group play feels.
Well, let's start with an easy one, and make sure you introduce yourself as we go around. Question number 1. How do you feel the EA weekend went on a scale of 1 to 10? GuloGulo.
Well, I'm GuloGulo. I think most people know me, but if you don't, checking out GuloGulo _gaming over on Twitch. Link in the description below. Check it out. How did I feel about EA Weekend? I would give it a solid 7 out of 10. And I'm going to add a little thing on there so you know I wouldn't give a single MMO in the history of MMO launches above a 4.
Wow.
I think Pantheon did a great job. Their servers handled it really well. I want to give them room. There's room to improve. There's definitely more that could have been done, but I think they did a great job.
So high praise from GuloGulo. Mr. C, what about you?
Yeah, I'd probably give it an 8. You know, it wasn't perfect, but it was pretty gosh dang good. It launched better than Path of Exile, if you can believe that.
I haven't kept up on my Path of Exile news. Pretty
it was
good.
really bad for the first day, like the first 6 hours, and then it smoothed out, but it was pretty smooth the entire day, which was not what I was expecting at all.
Dymlos, what do you think?
Yeah, I think I'm going to give this one a solid 9. It was better than so many MMOs, and this is just early access. It's not even a soft launch. It's not any sort of launch, but it's the launch we're going to get with early access. Now, that being said, you know, we've only got 6 zones. We don't have a full game set up, so, you know, less to go wrong. But the only reason I don't give it a 10 out of 10 is because I guess I didn't see a lot of changes that we weren't already experiencing, you know, just a month prior. Like a lot of that stuff that we really wanted to get fixed didn't necessarily get fixed. And I know it's going to be a while, so I'm not going to crucify VR for not getting certain things fixed that need to be fixed. I know it'll happen eventually. Hopefully it'll happen eventually. But as far as server stability, no lag, everything looking good and staying good. And, you know, I think we had something happen at the very beginning that I wasn't online for, but the 18 hours straight that we played over the last 3 days, there was one server reset. I mean, that was down for 2 minutes. And then there was some little issue where we had to log into the instance zone or whatever they're calling it, shard or whatever. I don't care. And that was the fix. And then they fixed the main server and it was fine and everything's fine again. And so I was pleasantly surprised how smooth everything went. I've got no complaints. So yeah, 9 out of 10. And like I said, the only reason it's not a 10 out of 10 is because I want to see things fixed that didn't get fixed. How about you, Draq?
Yeah, I have to say that I am shocked. I mean, that's really the only word that I have for this is shocked. I did not see this going this smoothly. Even my best expectations for what was going to happen, I figured that there was going to be issues, that them launching on both Steam and to the pledges at the same time was going to be an issue, that, you know, they were just going to have server issues and there was going to be, you know, crashes and rollbacks, and there hasn't been any of that. Now, granted, we play on Stormona and not Dark Moon. So thank you, GuloGulo, for picking the most amazing server to play on, because I think that we have our little corner of the Pantheon universe and we're not really bothered, and our server is rock solid. And maybe that hasn't been everyone's experience, but for us, it's been amazing. It's been nonstop, and there have been very, very few issues. So I got to give it a 9, and I have to say that I'm shocked about how well it's went, and it's really a feather in VR's cap, because it's just something that I think they did better than expected. So good for them.
Yeah, we talked about we're gonna have to eat a little crow here on the rewind, and I think that's accurate. You know, we were very worried as longtime followers, players of this game. It was very scary. The fact that they were able to get all this together, and I know they crammed a lot, and there was a lot of stress, I'm sure, but it's all worth it. It was all very positive. Good stuff. Good stuff.
I mean, it's hard not to approach EA with a super critical eye before it happened, because previously it was in a year we were getting less development than we got for EA, and we were getting 3 times, 4 times, maybe even 5 times as much content than we had, and they delivered less than the past. It just makes sense. But I'm glad they were able to figure it out and get it working. And the game's good.
All right, well, let's move on to some other fun stuff. So, Gulo, what class did you play, and what did you most enjoy about your class?
Played the Enchanter, of course, and what I enjoyed most was Charm. Hold on, never mind. Charm's not in. Charm's not in yet. I would have to say I've been playing Enchanter for most of the last year. I'm pretty adjusted to most of the changes. What I've actually liked the most about the Enchanter is the newest spell effects. I think a lot of the newer spell effects add a little bit to the class and just make it a little bit more fun. But yeah, just keep up the work, VR.
Mr. C, what about you?
So I played a ranger, and honestly, I think Draq enjoyed my class more than I did.
I loved your class. I loved having a ranger in my group. That's the first time I've ever said that.
It'll be the first and last time in Pantheon, but I've always, when I last played ranger for the last test, I really enjoyed it. I really like the jump in, jump out mechanic, where it's like you jump in and you get a guaranteed crit on your next melee ability and you jump out. That's a lot of fun. And I love the utility, the hamster track. Track was probably what saved us in Wild's End more than anything, because we didn't know where the hell we were going, what the hell we were thinking, and track gave us an idea of what we were doing. But yeah, I really liked it, and it's a good class.
Yeah, having tracking in Wild's End has been such a bonus because we don't know where anything is, and we don't know where the mobs are that are our level. And so having the ability to have Mr. C look on track and say, hey, there's yellow mobs over there, or there's some white mobs over there, and us just like heading in a general direction has been super money and has really kept the stream flowing and us moving forward faster than I think we would have if we hadn't had track. What about you, Dymlos, as the tank? How'd it fare for you?
Felt good. I was a warrior this time. I decided to step back from the paladin just to see this whole banner system. And well, it turns out it was the best part of the class. So good job, Joppa and VR crew, for this banner system. I am having a blast with it. If you've watched any of the streams, I now call it Bannermon because I use these banners like I use Pokemon. I switch them in and out as I see fit. So if I see a situation where this water Pokemon beats up on this fire Pokemon, or in Pantheon's case, if I see something where I need to gain a little more threat, I put the threat banner down and I do my thing till I need to go into block mode. And so once I feel like I've got enough threat, I then switch my banner out. So I recall my threat banner and stick out the block banner. I choose you, block rating banner. As I've told these guys, I've kind of made this class my own, and now I'm thinking about it like I think about when I play Pokemon, like what's going to be my best bet. What is the next banner I need to use at all times? And that's just in conjunction with the awesome stuff that Warriors already had. They've got a really awesome shout that they do. They can absolutely keep aggro great and have emergency quote unquote oh shit aggro getting if I need to. So no longer does Gulu have to worry that his stuff is just going to keep aggro on him all the time. And I don't think he or lay off as much, I should say, when it comes to this, because I'm going to have, and this will come in more when we get into our upper level stuff. We're only 13 at the moment. So when he gets some of his real heavy aggro stuff, even if he does take it from me, which I'm sure he will, I'll be able to rip it right back pretty quickly. As long as that stuff's up, the oh shit does take a minute refresh. So hopefully he won't be ripping it off me all the time so I can use that. But I can always throw down the threat banner and just start kicking and punching until I get it back. So I think it's a cool class. I really like it. I am not sure yet if I'm going to switch from Paladin to Warrior, but because I haven't experienced Paladin past level 15 skills, I've gotten a Paladin to mid 20s, whatever we were in for Hangor, but it didn't have anything past 15 as far as skills go. And so I'm really excited to see how this scales up to 40 and then go see what a Paladin does, scale it up to 40, maybe after a wipe happens, who knows how long that'll be, but the Warrior is so much fun. And I never thought I'd say that after seeing what an EverQuest Warrior is like and how boring that class is. I never thought I'd play Warrior, but I just am blown away by how much fun I'm having with that. And maybe it's like the the funness mixed in with exploring Wild's End, and playing with a good group of guys. But I've had nothing but fun, and maybe that feeds into why I thought EA was such a success, is because I had so much fun. So maybe it all ties in. Maybe it's copium. Who knows? But either way, if you want to play a tank and you want to have some fun and you want to constantly kind of change the way you go about facing a mob and using all your skills to be the best tank you can be, the Warrior's the way to go. These banners only get better and they start affecting the group here real soon. So I'm really excited to report back about that too.
If I had to buy a new avatar every time Dymlos switched his main class in Pantheon Rise of the Fallen, I'd probably be broke. Like, I'd be out of money, because it's like every other week he's just like, oh, this class over here looks fun.
It is fun. Whatever, Draq. We all know what you played. What did you enjoy most about it?
To be fair, there wasn't a lot of changes for early access. It pretty much stayed the same. But the wizard class is super fun. I love the way the wizard plays. It does chunky damage, not like sustained damage like your rogues and your rangers. They do lots of damage that's happening all the time. The wizard is very bursty. It's very chunky. I like the snare component that I get. That's super fun. I like interrupting. That's super fun. You know what? I even like the crack rock.
I like those too.
It keeps me
Engaged.
Busy, keeps me engaged, and also really I think it separates me from the other wizards, because no other wizard does this. So if you're a wizard out there and you want to like put your gameplay over the next level, just make sure everybody in your group has a crack rock and uses it. That's the other big thing. They got to use it.
And by crack rock, you mean, what does that do?
So it's a level 9 spell. I believe it's called a mana crystal. So you summon a mana crystal and it puts a little item in your inventory, and it's like it uses some of my mana to cast it and then puts that in a crystal, and then you right click on the crystal in your inventory and then it gives you mana back. And so, but they're tradable. So I can trade them to my healer. I can trade them to the enchanter. I can even trade them to the ranger. And so then in a pinch, you can use that crystal, and then when you would otherwise be out of mana, you can now have some mana and to cast, a couple more heals or another mez, which at many points during the night saved our bacon, because
they can be game changers.
They're
for
absolutely game changers. There were moments when Vendini, our shaman healer, was like he had used 3 of those things in one fight. And so, which absolutely kept the group alive. So it's fun to be an integral part of the group and not just DPS.
You might say he's an addict.
God, the first crack rock is free, people. After that, it costs money.
I just want to say that even though Van and Mark aren't here, they did. I don't think anyone brought any dead weight to the party. Like, everyone brought a utility that was very valuable, including Mark's and his summoner and corpse summoning, and especially Vendini and his buffs and his heals, of course. But there's I don't think there's any real classes right now in Pantheon that are like EverQuest 1 wizard, where you cast a nuke and you sit and med for like 10 minutes in between nukes, and that's it, right?
Yeah, well-balanced class. I think we picked the right 6 to be together. Sometimes, like, if a cleric and a paladin are together, it's a little bit of overlap, but maybe too much healing. But I think especially like when we hit 20 and our whole skill set is all together, like when Marks has the heal pet, so we've got backup heals if we need it, just in case. You toss in your little pickle tickle heal. That's great. Plus we have massive amounts of DPS. I think, Gulo certainly doesn't put out a huge chunk of it, but every little bit helps. I think we just really are a very cohesive group. I don't think we could have picked a better 6 to roll together.
You mentioned the other 2. The shaman's been a steady, awesome, amazing healer for a while. And Vendini is rock solid. But the summoner class definitely got some upgrades since the end of the pre-alpha era, right? Like, Mark's, we were all generally surprised at the power of the damage that the summoner brought. It always had the utility before, but it didn't do nearly as much DPS before. And we definitely felt like the summoner and the pets, they did a lot of damage now that they've added in pet weapons and just like more spells for the summoner to do. I just really feel like that class is really coming around.
Absolutely. The weapons, the armor that you can put on there now, plus your weapon attack where you put your fire on all our weapons and we do damage that way, plus his damage shield. I mean, this is just a really well-rounded group, and we could take on pretty much anything. I feel like there's not really anything in Pantheon that if we knew what we were doing and we knew what we were up against, we couldn't find a solution to, because we have all the tools to make it happen.
Would you say that they're massive tools?
Massive Joppa tools.
Huge.
All right. What about Gulo actually brought this up on streamer. So I think we had a listener that actually asked us this question, but I thought it was a really good question. So I wanted to bring it up on the rewind because I know not everybody could wade through 18 hours of us streaming. So what was the number one thing that you think needs to be added to Pantheon that it doesn't have right now?
I wonder what this could be.
Need before greed loot. Need before greed loot. Over
that's
and
not
over.
what I
Need
thought.
before greed loot.
I thought you were going to say charm.
Well, the close second. Still, need before greed. If you're asking me for my class, yes. For enchanter, it's charm. If you're asking me for the game, it's need before greed loot.
I'm sure it just got put to the back burner. Hopefully it'll be in soon.
Yeah, I think for us, it's not a big deal because we're kind of a communal
static group.
We just share everything.
Live.
Right, staticgroup.live. But I think for other groups, like if you're pugging it, like there's always that one guy that's greedy and that can loot faster than you. So yeah, it could be an issue. Definitely,
Gulo.
definitely cause friction.
I think we need it for us. Not.
I mean, there's some of that too.
I mean, it's always Gulo and Marks that are first on the corpses usually.
Mr. C, what about you? Aside from we can't double up on these. So aside from need before greed, what do you think needs to be added?
I'm gonna say for Ranger, like, is Ranger supposed to be polars? Is that how it's been said? Does anyone know? Draq, Dymlos?
I don't know that they've actually mentioned Rangers being polars. The only class that I've ever heard as a polar is the monk.
Rangers definitely have some tools to pull, but I don't know if they've been like identified as a puller.
Because we've been kind of like half in, half out. Like, should Rangers have a pacify for polling? I mean, fuck, Necromancer has a pacify for undead. I mean, why not? Why not Ranger? I mean, it shouldn't just be monks. It shouldn't be like, hey, do you have a monk for polling these really tough polls? No, well, tough shit.
What if you got a pacify just for animals?
I mean, I would take that. I'd be okay with that.
I think that'd be a good way to do it.
What dungeon are we going to with animal that we need pacify for?
We're gonna be killing a
Ask
lot of
VR
druids.
that question.
All the druids.
Blech. I think it'd be better if it was outdoor lull, maybe. If you're trying to cap them so that they don't have enchanter, like
That
you're trying to make it
might
lesser.
be a good idea too. Yeah.
But again, when you're a polar, it's the indoor stuff. The dungeons that you really need to be able to lull stuff. When you're outdoors, like think about Manor. Like there was 0 pulls that I needed to lull anything to be able to single pull a skeleton from there. But like the goblin little fortress ruins that we were at, I definitely could have used a lull. If I would have had a lull and been able to drag some of those ones away, we'd have never wiped. I'd love to have one on the warrior too.
Yeah.
Man, we really could have used a snare trap up in that temple a couple of times.
That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, I think ultimately it's just we need more poll utility.
Well, I am going to make mine super simple. I think that we should be able to buy Steam keys because I would like
It
to
is simple. You can buy one. You can buy one.
No, I can buy a Steam game, but I can't buy a Steam key to give away because that's
gotcha.
not an option. So I would like to be able to buy a Steam key so we can do giveaways very easily on the channel. Currently, there's no ability to do that. So if I wanted to give away a copy of the Steam game, I would have to friend people, and then I would have to purchase it for them. Like it's just a mess. So I think that just simply adding the ability to be able to purchase a Steam key for the game would be a big win for the game.
Certainly makes it easier for us, that's for sure. Because we
Certainly
like to give back to the community.
Dude,
Thanks for all your donations, everybody. Appreciate you.
I have someone in our Discord right now that wants to buy a Steam key for us to give away. Like, you're leaving money on the table. Okay?
Yeah, for sure.
Dymlos is always harping about don't give your game away. And these are opportunities for people to buy your game. Let us give the game away. Let us take money from the community and then funnel it back into VR to help support the game, because that's really what we're here for.
We've been doing it for the last 4 years. Let us do it on Steam.
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but none of us are getting rich streaming Pantheon, okay? Like, this is not a moneymaker. Right? We're taking the money that we get and we're funneling it back into Pantheon. So make it easy for us. Give us Steam keys. Let us give the game away.
I mean, we should be able to log in to. We should be able to, with our existing pledges, be able to log into Steam also, right?
Oh, that would be nice as well. That'd be super nice. All right, number 4. What was your most exciting moment of playing Pantheon this weekend? And I'm afraid that we're all going to have the same moment. GuloGulo, you can start.
I don't know if everybody's going to have mine. Mine started with Dymlos and Vendini dying. At the Galdassi ruins,
the first death,
which inspired me to start exploring, and quickly Draq started exploring, Mr. C started exploring, and next thing you know, we were basically having a climbing race to the top of the Galdassi ruins. And when I finally got to the top, I got so surprised at how many goblins there were up there that I fell off to my death, and it was amazing. The exploration in Wild's End has been great, and that was probably the most exciting time I've had so far.
That's a good one. I really enjoyed playing on that ruins.
What about you, Mr. C?
So I'm gonna do a Nathan double answer. For me personally, my favorite clutch moment was when I saved the group and I kited that thing around a tree in the ruins. That was probably my personal
that was awesome,
exciting moment. But just generally, when we killed that name, the Tide Master, that was really exciting, and we got that cool three stat gear loot. That was
server first, baby.
Server first. No one's fucking around those goblins.
Nope, not a chance. It also didn't help that everyone was in Throne Fast and no one stayed in Wild's End. Like, I just am shocked. Even like champions who haven't played as much as the VIPs have played, why would you not want to go explore Wild's End? That's the new stuff. Throne Fest is boring. It's a crossroads, and there's nothing there. You got some Goblin Cave. You got some Spider Cave. You got some bandits. You got a fort. Outside of that, there's nothing. We didn't know what was in Wild's End. And there's a ton of mobs.
Yeah.
I think, and we mentioned this on the stream, I think that they knew that people would, or that they were planning for people to be in Wild's End. And they had put a ton of mobs everywhere. Like that little, what is it called again? What is the
Galdassi ruins?
The Galdassi ruins could hold, what do you think? 5-6 groups?
Oh, easy.
On track, I want to say there's anywhere between like 50 and 100 goblins in those ruins. It's massive.
It's unbelievable. Why would people want to go away? There's a ton of great XP and loot right there. None of that loot's in the Goblin Cave. Maybe it is. Actually, maybe it is. But we know that Goblin Caves can only maybe hold 3 groups in the whole thing. And it's mind-boggling that no one would want to be in this beautiful new zone that was made for us. And gosh darn, was it beautiful. Like, what a great color palette. So many beautiful purples and blues. I was blown away by that too.
I feel like we ate crow with the EA launch, but we made it up for everything that we did in Wild's End.
For sure. We definitely showcased the game, and I'm glad that we were not in Halnir. I'm glad that we are not in the Goblin Cave. You know, we've shown all that stuff. Maybe not the depths of Halnir, but we've certainly showed off multiple areas of that place. All of the Goblin Cave, certainly the fort, certainly the manor. You know, there's nothing left to explore there. Whereas in Wild's End, there's still so much to do. We don't even plan on leaving anytime soon. Maybe when we hit 20, maybe, who knows? There's still so much to explore there and to do there. I'm very excited to see the rest of it.
They're still on track. There's still so many red mobs in there.
Yeah, I'm very, very excited to go check all that stuff out. Go kill some orcs over there. Go kill some more gobbies. Find out what those named mobs are at the top of that altar. I'm very excited to see what's there. And I think we're going to do that here very soon. Hopefully this week before the next show.
What about you, Dymlos? What was your favorite moment?
Well, I kind of already spoiled it a little bit, and sorry for that, but I'll be honest with you, logging into Wild's End, that was the most exciting thing for me. Yeah, we had a lot of great battles, but I know that the six of us are good, even if people on the YouTube tell us that we need to shut up and start playing the game better.
Just play the damn game, Dymlos. This is not a podcast. Just play the game. Let us watch you play the game.
Right. But I know that we can handle that stuff. And even when we can't, that's why I always try to push us, is because I want to see how far this group can go. And it's just fun to see that. But so I know that's already a known commodity to me. What wasn't known was how unbelievably beautiful Wild End is. Like I was saying, the blues and the purples. Purple's my favorite color by far. And then mixing with the blues, the tree, the wildlife, the monsters. Yeah, maybe the mobs are dropping weird stuff, like centipedes dropping snake parts and frogs dropping wolf parts or whatever it is. That stuff just needs to be worked out. But the overall atmosphere of Wild's End is unbelievably beautiful. And I just am so thankful to be in a different biome that is not thrown fast. So logging into Wild's End, seeing what Joppa was trying to show us from stream to stream, it's all kind of, I don't want to say meaningless, but it's all kind of meaningless until you get in the game and see it. And then it's just stunning. They did a really great job with that zone. We were all very worried that there wasn't going to be anything for us to do, and there is way more than enough for us to do in this absolutely stunning zone. I can't wait to go see Eastern Plains and make that run to Avendirs, because eventually we're going to have to go to Halnir and Hangor to go check those places out and get acclimation and all that stuff. I'm very, very happy that we made the decision to not be evil and start in Throne Fast and then all play elves and halflings and start in Wild's End. That was the best idea. Whoever had that idea is a freaking genius. I don't know who it was that said that initially. Who could be the genius of this group?
Pretty sure it was you, but
yeah.
You can take
thank you, Draq. Thank you, Draq. I will take that 100% right. But that for me, just seeing something different in a game that I really enjoy playing a lot was so great. So good job, all you developers for Wild's End. I'm very excited to see what else you've got in store for us over the next couple zones. How about you, Draq?
Well, obviously the best moment is when we killed the what was the Tide Ripper or the Tide Breaker?
Snick the Tide Master.
The Tide Master. Snick the Tide Master. I mean, that was clutch. We broke into that room. We had like 0 mana. We're sitting over in the corner and we have 0 mana and we 3-pulled. And oh my gosh, like the group just snapped into action and like Gulu's mezzing things and Dymlos is jumping on the Tide Master and somehow we pulled it out. We killed that guy. We ended up running because there was no possible way that we were going to be able to kill everything. But we got the loot. We killed the named. It was butt clenching. It was everything you want in an MMO. It was by far the best moment of the whole 18 hours. And it was absolutely worth every penny. It just made the whole weekend, and I feel like we rose to the occasion. As Dymlos said, we had our A games on this weekend, man. Like there were very few screw up deaths, like where we screwed up. Like
Right.
sometimes we got in over our head, or the game just kind of screwed us, which I'm totally fine with in an MMO. I think the game should screw you from time to time, but we were on our game, and it was a lot of fun to just be like serious MMO mode. Let's go, we're grinding, and yeah, I thought it was super fun. All right, so now little put on your prediction hats. What do you think about Pantheon moving forward for 2025? GuloGulo.
Really, I think VR needs to sit down for a moment, take a few deep breaths, soak in all of the positivity, everything that's coming in their way, and the skyhold is the limit. Get the damn gnomes in the game. Yeah, that's what everybody's talking about. They want the rest of the classes. They want the rest of the races. Content is king. You guys know that. Keep banging out zones. Keep getting quests. Keep getting all this stuff in the game. But yeah, feed off this positivity. Let it fill your sails and push you guys forward. And hopefully, it's an awesome year. Can't wait.
Mr. C.
Yeah, hopefully with all the new Steam sales, because it was 2,300 concurrent players at one point, right? We don't know how many people have bought the game and just like played at night or just never even played at all, for all we know. But hopefully it's enough money to get some new hires so that content will get done quicker and we get into the races and Bard. Obviously, Phil's been talking a lot about the Bard. Now it's going to be the most amazing class ever. I can't wait. My biggest worry is that this is what we're going to have for a bit for zones and whatnot, and if that's true, that's going to suck. It's going to suck, but hopefully they this turns out great and it'll just be good and great and nothing bad, and the negative After Dark stream will turn into the mostly negative After Dark stream.
The less negative stream.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to complain. We're not
sure.
We're not
that's
gonna
what we do.
And it's kind of reminded me about just like we haven't really had this hunger to explore like we have before, right? Because before it'd be like, reset. Oh, we gotta do bears and boars, and then spiders, and then manor, and then fort, and it's like this is all new, and we just have this hunger to explore all this new content like we haven't had in a long time, and that's why we've really been enjoying it.
And with such a big, beautiful zone like Wild's End, it's kind of different. Like we've gone into Mad Run or AVP or Hangor or Hallners and had that exploration, had the what's down this way, what's down that way. But there's something about this wide open zone and having so many layers, so much verticality. It's a blast. It really is. It just feels so exciting to go look around and see new stuff, and I'm seeing new stuff every day.
Yep.
Yeah, it was getting real old playing, 12 to 16 hours to get to the stuff to explore. You know what I mean? Because you had to get to level 12 before you could even get into Wild's End, and you had to get to level 12 or 13 AVP. To get into Halnir's, and you had to get to level 20 to get into Hangor. It's just so exhausting to do, like you said, manor into fort into all this stuff that's the same thing over and over and over again. Just to start with something new was such a breath of fresh air.
Couldn't agree more.
Dymlos 2025, what do you think?
Just keep working, keep plugging away. Hopefully we can hire another couple programmers to get this stuff out faster. I really hope that they are better about who they hire. I'm not saying that anyone's been bad, but like if you can't make game, don't hire, right? Like we've had a lot of people come and go in the VR world that haven't been able to produce anything, or at least anything that the player can experience. And so maybe there's a ton of back end stuff that we haven't seen and we can't ever see because it's just not something that can interpret to the game. And I'm sure there's a lot of people that have put a lot of hard work into it, writing stuff. And, we want great lore and we want all this stuff, but like, We need people that can make the game. The dream is there, the thought is there, the stuff has been fleshed out. Now we need a couple Kyles that can really bang out game. So hopefully they use this money wisely to hire someone or to make someone have more hours, give them a little kick to be able to work more hours, and rather than having to, do labor of love stuff, that's all well and good, but we live labor of love here too. And it's not the easiest. So hopefully we're able to give people what they deserve to be paid because they're doing a great job, but then also more game. You need people that can make game. That's the end of the list. Don't hire anybody that can't make a game.
Well said. I think for me that VR has bought themselves a little bit of store credit. And so with this release and how smooth it was and how well everything went, I think they bought some credit with me. And I think that I trust them to do whatever they think they need to do moving forward. And I haven't had that feeling in a while. It's been a while. We've been on the edge of like, oh, is this thing going to make it? Is this the end? Are we hanging on for the end? Like there was literally that thought.
We've been in 247 land before, and that was where we thought the game was dead, basically.
We did, and there were moments where it was like, man, is this gonna be it? Are we just here for the wind down? And I had to make peace with myself and be like, you know what? I put $1,000 into this thing, but this could be the end, and that's okay. And I'm gonna ride it out till the end. But I don't feel that way right now. I feel like the resurge of excitement, and I feel like I'm back on the VR train, and I think that there's a level of, as I said, credit. So I trust them, and I think we're moving forward leaps and bounds, and I'm ready to go. Well, before we get to an amazing Benonai community spotlight, I would also like to highlight that we are not going to do a Joppa Says this week, mostly because we've been playing Pantheon.
Yeah. I ain't got no time to watch Joppa.
I ain't got no time to watch those streams. So we will continue with the Joppa Says section next week. But I did want to highlight, there were a couple of things that Joppa said that I wanted to highlight. Joppa says that EA was a, quote, overwhelming success. And I tend to agree with him there. He also mentioned that there were 2,300 people concurrently on Steam. That's not counting pledges. So that's not counting any of the people like us who are pledged to Pantheon. That's only Steam users. So that's a real great number. And the thing that just blows my mind away is Steam is mostly positive. It is green, people. Like, we have a positive reviews on Steam. In my wildest dreams, no matter how much I thought they were going to knock it out of the park, I never thought that Steam was going to be mostly positive on the reviews. It's crazy to me.
Well, let's listen to Benonai and then talk about that a little more over in gaming news.
We know what time it is. It's your boy Benonai with another community spotlight. Now, let me get back in my grind. In the annals of time, it is possible that future developers will look back at the path taken by Visionary Realms and consider whether they should or should not make similar decisions. And as the USA Apollo missions proved, there are many ways to not make a spacecraft capable of a moon landing, but very few ways to succeed. And as Elon Musk stands on the shoulders of giants that have gone before him and improves on their work, I see many studios in the future using Visionary Realms' tenacity to create a game sheerly from willpower, convincing people to give them money for the promise of a future game as a springboard to improve on the process and give those that may not have a team or a studio, but a dream and an ambition to see it through, the shoulders upon which they can stand. And as I read through the reviews posted on Steam, I can't help but smile at most of the negative reviews. While a select few have something important to say, it is easy to spot the ones that are just there for the shade. There's a shocking lack of criticisms of the game itself, subjectively of course. The negative reviews are generally short, filled with notes on how long production time has been up to EA, and the price is too high for them to recommend anyone else buying the game in its current state. And what there is not is a lot of negative comments on bad social behavior, bugs and exploits, horrible customer service, server downtime, lag. And that is because EA was built upon a solid foundation that took years of effort to refine into a stable and fun gameplay loop on a shoestring budget. And the reason for that is the community. It is obvious to the point of disbelief. One of the negative commenters actually complained that the backers of the game were all brainwashed by VR due to how pleasant they are in their forums and now how they will debate criticisms of the game. So, stop being so informed and likable, you jerks. Many of VR's staff have come from the community, and we have paid for their salaries to create this game for us. We have spent countless hours writing bug reports and walls of text with our opinions on the gameplay and design, and we have created years of video content. Some idiots have even written whole books on its lore. Why should we not defend it from those that nitpick the decisions that have brought the game to where it is? As I am a citizen of America, because I pay for it, I own a part of it. I spend hours of my life trying to make it better, even though I disagree with aspects of it. I am similarly a citizen of Terminus. Part of the flaws and success belong to me. Part of the ongoing decisions by the workers at VR will be influenced by things that I have said or not said. It is, in a way, my homeland, and its other citizens are my kinsmen. And I have no issues defending my flawed yet worthy homeland and continuing to make it a shining game on a hill. So to that end, we have another call to action. I'm raising the bugle to muster the troops and march on Steam. If you have not left your honest opinion on the community boards, do so. If you have time, throw some screenshots up. There are familiar and unfamiliar faces in group chat. Say hi to them and answer some questions. And if you can spare it, jump into the guides section and help a fellow gamer out. There could be so much there to help orient the newly arrived players to what is happening in the world of Terminus. There is so much we can do to give our homeland its best chance to succeed. VR is not asking for our money now, but they are in need of some of our time. And I, for one, would love to prove to the trolls, to the newcomers, and to our posterity, the future indie game creators reading the annals of these times in future years, just how much community matters. Take the hill, soldiers. Hey, I ain't out this week. I'm in.
From the SGL Action News Desk, this is MMO News, featuring your anchors, Draq and Dymlos.
All right, today we were talking about it earlier. We saw 2,300 concurrent Steam players during early access. That's not even all the people that bought it. You know, we probably are saying over 3,000 people purchased the game. So that's fantastic. We needed a huge influx of people, and the servers are certainly showing it. So I just wanted to take a second to look at this article on MMORPG.com. This is they also quote Joppa saying it's an overwhelming success. I'm so happy that something that I've supported now for 4+ years is getting a little steam, getting a little of that positivity in their sales, like Gulu was talking about. But feel free to take a look at the story. But we're just gonna kind of talk about people on Steam, right? We were, for months, this podcast has been so worried that Steam was going to crush this game and everything was going to go bye-bye because Steam was going to go so poorly, but it didn't. So what I really want to do for this gaming news is not necessarily look at the article, but kind of read what some of these positive Steam. Now, there have been some negative things, and here on this show, We talked about being positive, so all of Redbeard's people would vote for us when we are for the next Scuffed Game
Up for a
Awards.
beardy.
Yeah. So
can we get one honorable mention negative review that we've probably been talking about the entire time we've been playing the game because it's just so funny.
Yes, we can do that after we read a couple positive ones. That's fine.
Okay.
But because I know that like Nathan talked about reading a bunch of the negative ones on stream and they're funny and I get that, but like working in retail before, all you hear is the negative stuff and you never hear the positive stuff, especially from people who are serviced well. Like they don't ever go and fill out a survey for you and talk about how good you did it. You only hear the bad stuff. So I want to take this moment to highlight some of the positivity and that's what we did here for a long time. We were people complained about this and how positive we were and how much copium we had. And then we kind of started listening to it all and we went away from those roots. So I kind of want to take a little bit back and get back to what our roots were and really take a look at the positivity of what's going on in this game. And so Mr. C, please take it away. However many of these you want to read is fine with us. I will cut them if it gets too long. So just let's hear it.
All right. Well, you might have to cut this first one because he did like a very short one, and then he was like, "I'll do an update," and then the update was like 3 times as long.
That's fine.
Here's the first one. Only got to play a bit before work, but the vibe is 100%. What if EverQuest didn't suck and looked good to play, but had accessibility of WoW? ? End quote. This game is going to be hard. Feels familiar enough as a 20-year WoW player, not 20-year-old, just 20-year WoW player. But we actually got the RPG part of the MMORPG back. We'll update this as I play longer this weekend and likely during the workday too. Oops. Edit. All right, here's the
I love to hear that WoW people are playing this game. That's super important that it's not just EQ diehards, even though I know that they're not really interested much in this game anymore. But it's good to hear that WoW people taking an interest in this game. But continue. Sorry.
I'll just do a quick thing where it's like the game is fun, and I feel the fact that we've had a lot of people, even like Lotu, who didn't really play any MMOs, is really loving it. It just shows that the game's good. Okay, edit. So I got to play more. I think for $40 and a no sub price, this game offers more to do than PAX Day. Wow. Is more approachable than Mortal Online 2, but does
That's not really saying much.
does not feel as full of direction as WoW, and key bindings are strange.
You can change those key bindings, whoever the original poster is.
Well, I find myself feeling aimless, like I'm just grinding mobs and stumbling by chance upon quests. In a sense, it is faithful to EverQuest. However, that does not mean good. It is too off the rails. This game feels very hard, but not rewardingly so. Ultimately, the game draws interest from me and provokes me to play it more, but does not feel good to play so far. This is a positive review, so
hey,
this is not a full product.
There's going to be good with the bad, right?
Yeah.
Like that's anything. If it wasn't a struggle, we wouldn't feel good about overcoming what we do.
This is not a full product yet, and that's okay. It's its own thing. Fills the niche it's trying to, and I look forward to seeing what they do, but respectively, be wary if you are on the fence about this game. Real criticisms. This game feels unfamiliar of even basic classics like Warrior. There are subsystems you have to learn just to cast your spells similar to mana. Many classes have resources like this. Lack of obvious direction. Feels like I'm just thrown in the game world, faithful to P99 EverQuest, but not great for modern game players. Hard to tell what factions there are. Are they good, evil? Fights are quote unquote hard, but way of not paying attention rather than skill. You'll pull an extra mob by accident and then realize you don't have enough health because the UI does not lend itself to being readable and often feels clustered. Positives, We have a real true MMO. I don't know how much of this formula Pantheon should abandon and how much it should keep. Game seems chill in its own way and more social than other MMOs I've seen. So that's all. That's the first reveal.
All right. I mean, that's
Chill.
yeah. Isn't that what we wanted? We don't want people, Baron's chat people. We want chill people. And so I'm glad that he said that. I'm curious as to what server he's on, but no, so far there's going to be bad. We all have bad with so much good. It just is what it is. It can't be 100% good. So I'm glad that a positive spin also put a little criticism into it too, because that's what makes it real, right? Like that's how it's a positive thing, because he saw a little flaw, and there's going to be, it's still early access. So I'm happy to hear that.
I don't agree with all his criticisms, but hey,
Yeah.
that's the beauty of humanity.
Exactly. And, I think we have gotten to a place where we are as gamers and the gamer community that we've lost that ability to ask for help. It's just the social aspect of games is gone. And that's just because one player games have been so good, right? Like no one can even hop on a thing and ask for any help. It feels like anymore. Like just hop on a blog or hop on Reddit and ask for help because they're going to get made fun of. Oh, you're not good. Get good. Get good. Like the whole get good aspect needs to just go away. That's why MMOs haven't been good, is because people are too embarrassed anymore to just ask for a little help. Even when you watch streamers streaming some of the games, sometimes they'll just ask chat for help, or chat will just tell them. Streamers shouldn't be the only people that do that, right? Like they should be able to get help. So please just throw out an OOC, join a guild, whatever. Be social. That's what this game's all about. Don't cloister up and try to do this on your own, because that's not what this is. You can be solo, but like ask for help. If you don't know how to do something, just throw it out in OOC. Someone's likely got an answer for you. And people are happy to help. This game harbors chill people. Now there's some serious assholes. That's why we picked a server that we knew wasn't going to have any of these assholes that we've run into already. So that's going to happen. But for the most part, chill people. If I see your stuff in OOC, I've already several times in OOC answered questions. And so to my best of my ability.
Kind of the general attitude of the community. I mean, I run around and just buff low-level people sometimes, and if they ask for advice of where they should go camp or what, different stuff they want to know, I'll answer it the best I can.
Don't be afraid to ask. Just ask. We all try to be very helpful.
All right. On the next review, this one says, "The good? Cool. I get to explore and experience eureka moments. The playing field is fairly even now, and I have not crashed once yet. The bad. The frequent arguing over game mechanics. I wonder what server they're on. The ugly. The game is what it is. It has corpse runs, it has no maps. Some systems are visible, but seemingly unimplemented. The long, I like it a lot. I'd place it somewhere between the original EverQuest and WoW Art Hardcore on difficulty, specific to dying. You don't lose your entire character, but most of your stuff drops with your corpse after hitting 5. I'm not sure if there is corpse locating or summoning mechanic at all. Well, reviewer, you'll be happy to know necromancers and summoners get summoned corpse at 12, so be happy. And there is another part of this launch. I'm enjoying the opportunity to play an MMORPG where there is some mystery as to how things work still. Sure, there are probably guides online, but I am more often learning towards trial and error and being rewarded with those, quote, aha, unquote moments. There seems to be 2 major ways of thinking cropping up in rather heated conversations in this game. Frequently, in my short playtime, I've seen complaints about mechanics being, quote, bad game design, end quote, which frequently lead to some of those enjoying the game to vehemently arguing that the game is, quote, not a hand-holding game, end quote. The arguing generally devolves into name-calling. For me, this is the worst part of the launch, whenever server you're on, but I will gladly endure the arguing. I like it here because too frequently in more recent MMO gamings, the chats are extremely polluted with what amounts to players selling pay-to-win, level, achieve, etc. services, which are fine for those that like the kind of thing and fine for MMOs that put the systems in place that allow or encourage that form of entertainment. It's just not what I'm looking for in an MMO. And that's the entire review.
Did you guys get that on Throne and Liberty a lot?
There were definitely some, but it wasn't too much. In Throne and Liberty, it's actually just the built-in pay-to-win in the game is the problem.
Yeah. But people didn't like bitch about it or anything like that?
They bitched more about guilds. Like, it was more like this Zerg guild came over from this server and is exploiting stuff, or they're swipers. Everybody's calling everybody swipers because they're pay-to-win, and you can easily tell who the pay-to-win people are.
I'm just so glad that we don't have that bullshit.
Please keep it out, VR. Please, for love of God.
Yeah. It really makes for a bad situation.
Hopefully this makes enough money to not have to do any of that shit.
Yeah.
And remember, if you're listening to this and you're new to Pantheon, there are certain things that Pantheon, what do they call them? Pillars. There's certain pillars, tenets and pillars of the game that Pantheon has said up front that they're going to do. One, that it's going to be a challenging game. And by challenging, they mean there's going to be a death penalty and there's going to be corpse recovery required. Two, that there's not going to be a map. There's going to be no map. That was said so many years ago, and they have stuck by no map. Now there's going to be, I think Joppa has been talking about some kind of general map, but it's not going to have a beeping dot, and there's not going to be like a trail that you follow. And that's just how it is. And a lot of us old school MMO players, we like that because we get to explore, and it's super fun to explore. And I am a person that won't explore if all I have to do is follow the dotted line. I won't explore if you put that in the game. But since there's nothing for me to follow, I'm forced to explore, and I enjoy that.
All right, on the next review. These next two are very short. Game still has a good ways to go, but it has lots of magical moments and mystery for old-timey MMO folks to enjoy. And getting lost and figuring things out is a blast and has been sorely missed in the MMO world for a long, long time. That was that one?
Amen. Yeah. Love that.
Preach it, brother.
That's such
Preach
a great lookout on that. I just am so thankful that people are appreciating the game for what it wants to do and not bitching because they lost their body or can't find their way. Learn it. It's going to take some time. When you move to a new city, you got to learn. Here's a point of interest here. Here's the crossroads here. You just got to learn it, right? It takes some time. Play the game. Right. You'll have fun doing it and you'll learn it eventually. I know it seems enormous, but it's really not that big. Once you learn where the camps are, you get to it easy. It's not like what, when we first logged into EQ and we only stayed in 4 zones because that was huge. We know how zones work. We can scale it down and there will be maps. Just go to a website. There's plenty of maps out. If you get lost, just type it into Google. You'll get a map of Thrown Fast. There's maps Thrown Fast, AVP. We just found a map of Halnir the other day that's really good. Doesn't have any points of interest on it, but at least we know where we're at and we have an idea. You can find the stuff you need if you want it. But if you want to explore like we want to explore, I still haven't looked at a map of Wild's End yet. I'm just excited to explore with my static group. No, it's fine. I'll cut it out. I ramble on anyway, so I end up cutting a huge chunk of everything that I say out because I just ramble and it sounds stupid after a while.
That said, I want to quickly bring up, haven't they been kind of playing with the idea of having like an Embers Adrift map where it's just static and you just kind of unlock areas with Fog of War.
Yeah, they were saying there's going to be a Fog of War that you discover as you move around, but and you might be able to like highlight things on it, like make your own little notes on the map, but it's not going to show your location. But we'll see.
Which is fine. I think that's absolutely perfect. And they even talked about you being able to buy maps from NPCs and it adding to your, eliminating that Fog of War in certain places. So
I mean, that's basically how
fine with that
Fantasy
too.
11 did it.
Yeah, totally fine with that too. Just no GPS, no, like Draq said, no guidance tracker. Follow the dotted line to your destination. None of that. You just need to figure it out. And it's not, I promise you, once you play the game for a little bit of time, you'll know where all that stuff is. It'll be very easy to navigate.
Just play the damn game.
Yep.
And it keeps you engaged with the game longer. Like, you'll want to play the game more because you're not instantly going to everywhere you need to go. So it keeps you playing, it keeps you interested in the game longer.
Well, and I actually think the kind of map they're talking about, if it's implemented well in the way I'm thinking about it, it's gonna kind of encourage you to explore. You're gonna want to fill your map out and get the little corners and nooks. No Fog of War. I think that's very cool. I think it'll be cool if I can go around and make a little pinpoint on a location and say I found a crate here, or say I found a named mob here.
Yeah, or making cartography a skill. That'd be cool.
Yeah.
That I think would be awesome.
Yeah.
If they legit did that, I think that could be really cool.
All right, Mr. C, last one.
All right. I'm enjoying it so far. Definitely has a classic EverQuest / MMO feel. You'll enjoy the game if you like slower progression and figuring things out. You'll enjoy this game if you like exploration, as there is no map. Progression is mostly grinding monsters and exploring, not very quest based. Classes are fun and the spells are interesting. If you will not enjoy this game if you're looking for something more modern or need instant gratification or cutting-edge graphics, a map, or a logical A to Z sequence of quests to tell you what to do. The most fun is the social aspect of this game. Group up with some random people and go blitz.
I think that's an excellent review and really honest. And just be honest with yourself. If those are the things you want, then go for it. If those are not the things you want, then it's going to be rough.
There are certainly other games you can play. Baldur's Gate 3 if you haven't. That's a great game. All right, Mr. C. Well, let's hear this review bomb that you want us to hear. I'm excited for it.
So I can't find it right now, but I will paraphrase what happened in this review bomb, because this is such the guy, because this guy played for not maybe a little bit over half an hour. And basically he died 3 times at level 1. And he said, all you do in this game is die, and you need death insurance or something. And he left a bad
Clearly, he hasn't listened to an episode of the Rewind. We've said so many times to use the conning system. You have a C button. That is what it's for. I know that's not a thing that exists in MMOs anymore, but back in our day when we used to play MMOs, we had to take a click on the mob and then push the C button to let us know if we could take it or not. When you're level 1, if you do anything more than an even con mob, you're dead. You're dead. That's the end of the game. That's why you get 5 levels to figure that shit out. Well, after you've hit level 5 and you haven't, if you've died a billion times over, maybe the loss of experience will make you learn the lesson if you haven't learned it in 5 levels of dying.
And maybe VR could be more direct and just put a really big pop-up when you first click on a mob and be like, hey, Con, hit the C button, stupid.
Certainly games don't do that anymore. There's no conning. The conning is done for you. Once you click on the mob, you automatically know if you can take it or not, right?
I think that every time that you go to attack a mob that's over your level at 1 through 4, there should just be a Mr. C that pops up in the background that's shaking his finger. That's too high for you. You don't want to attack this.
Or it just plays the entire short that I did a year or 2 ago about conning.
You're welcome to use that, VR. You're welcome.
You can use that. It's a great listen. It's a great short. You'll love it.
All right. Well, good stuff. I'm glad that most of these were positive but critical. I think that's what we need to be doing in 2025 is positive yet critical. So that's how I'm going to take a look at this until they do something stupid like 247. If they hopefully they never do that again, but if they do, then I'll go off the rails again. But for the most part, I want 2025 to be positive yet critical.
5,
Draq, I'm so disappointed in you.
4,
Luckily, every week I dominate this list and just destroy Dymlos.
3,
I thought you would just tuck your head between
No
your butt
way!
cheeks.
No, my list is
And
amazing.
It's not at all.
2,
Oh, already your list is the worst. Your list is the worst.
1.
All right, top five. This week's top 5 is brought to you by Annoying Llama because he got to pick the top 5 this week.
Only because he didn't do it for the last 3 weeks. So how do we get Annoying Llama to do it? We make him pick it. And honestly, we still had to remind him again to even do it. He picked it and almost bailed on it again.
Hey, he crossed the finish line, so I'm super proud of him. And this is a really good topic, so I'm super excited about this.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So this week we're doing the top 5 most hated MMORPGs.
So much for magical, happy staticgroup.live 5 seconds after we decided we were going to be positive.
Yeah.
It's most directly to most hated MMORPGs.
Listen, we chose this topic before we decided to be positive yet critical, but mostly positive. So maybe this will be our last critical bit, but it's not even on Pantheon. So it's on other. Well, maybe it's not. Maybe Pantheon's on your list, Draq. I don't know. Hopefully, it's not in your top 5 most hated MMOs of all time. But let's see. And I'll be honest with you. When I put this list together, my knowledge of niche MMOs is limited. Like I've not played a bunch of the really shitty MMOs. Like I thought, do I put Star Stable Online on this? Well, no, I haven't played it. So like I didn't want to put it on there unless
I think you have to experience the MMO to put it on your list, right?
Yeah. So this isn't going to have like some real depressive games. Like I know Annoying Llama has the list where it's a lot of games that I've never heard of. So our Patreon list is going to go very quickly because I'm going to be really heavily relying on you, Draq, to be able to push this one along.
Luckily, I have invested in a lot of really crappy MMOs.
Yes,
so
you have.
I am here for you.
All right, Draq. Well, let's start with your number 5.
Number 5. It pains me a little bit, but I got to put it on there. SWTOR. I did not like SWTOR. I didn't like it at all. I know some people liked it, but I think the same people that liked SWTOR are the same people that like playing MMOs by themselves. Because it wasn't really an MMO. It was basically Baldur's Gate 3 light. You just kind of did the game by yourself, and maybe sometimes you can invite one other or 2 other friends along with you, maybe. But probably not. You're honestly probably just doing the thing. Like there were so many portions of that game that you couldn't even have other people with you. It was so frustrating. So for me, sorry, SWTOR, you're number 5.
Fair. I mean, this probably should have been on my list, but like I totally blocked it out. Like I know that we played it for about 2 weeks, and I don't even think I really played much that 2 weeks because I just was burnt out by MMOs, and that's just what we chose to try to get rid of the burnout. I think I was in Dark Age of Camelot burnout, and we tried to move to this to change it up, and it just was not what I wanted, and so it didn't even make my list. So that's a good pick. I totally agree with you. It just didn't pique my interest at all. So maybe I don't know. Maybe most hated is too harsh of a word to say about it, but yeah. I mean, you played it a lot longer than I have, so
It's so bad it didn't even make your list.
yeah. There is another game that we played for 2 weeks that definitely made my list, but we'll get there in time.
All right, what about your number 5?
For me, number 5, ranking these were a little more difficult than I thought it would be. I kind of just put the 5 games I thought were not great. And so, but I didn't really know where to rank them in any order. So this may have been higher or lower, but for number 5, I decided to put Dungeons and Dragons Online. I am a huge
Zip is not gonna like you,
I
buddy.
don't care.
You're about to get thrashed by Ziplocs.
Yeah, well, I put this one on 5 because I was like that review that Mr. C just read, the review bomb, where you log in for a half hour, you die a bunch of times. It to me, it didn't feel true enough to Dungeons and Dragons, the core rule set. And I know that people are going to argue that with me, but like, again, I didn't.
Dude,
I was
I'm
a lot
argue
younger.
that with you.
Well, I was a lot younger when this game first came out. I just didn't appreciate what it brought to the table. And so I gave up on it very quickly, and I'm still not happy about it. So, because I didn't get a refund on that money. I didn't get my Steam refund after playing it for a half hour and getting my money back. So, yeah. So for me, DDO, sorry. I know that people like you. I just am not one of them.
I mean, it's not the greatest. I don't think I'd put it on my top 5 list of worst. My problem with the game is a little bit the same as SWTOR. It was super hard to group in the game. And also the combat was super clunky, like ridiculously clunky.
Yep.
And so that just made it really, really hard.
Why am I not just roll and die? Why am I not just make it easy? It should be as easy as rolling a die. That's how easy the combat should be. And it just was not.
It just was not. And the mobs were super fast in their actions, but your actions were super slow. Like, so it just, I don't know. It just wasn't, it didn't mesh well.
Sounds like maybe it does need to be on your list.
No, there's way worse than that.
All right, well, let's hear it. Number 4.
Number 4, Black Desert Online. The most beautiful turd that you have ever seen. Like, you can dress this thing up 6 ways to Sunday. It looks amazing on the outside, but the second you put your fork in it, you realize it's just a big turd because it's awful game. It's horrible. You just wander out into the wilderness, and there's just mobs that are just standing there doing nothing. They're not wandering around. They're just standing there, and you just go up, you press one button, and everything dies. Like everything. And you just wade through mob after mob after mob after mob, groups of mobs, hundreds of mobs. It doesn't matter. You just cast the thing and everything dies, and you move to the next area and you cast the thing and everything dies. It's so awful. And I hate the gameplay. It's like WoW on triple steroids. And I can't handle it at all. Black Desert, get out.
Well, this is definitely one I've not played, so I can't poo-poo all over it. But if Draq is calling it a giant turd, then that is exactly what it is. So it gets honorable mention for me for my list of not knowing it and playing it.
What about your number 4? I want to know, have you played this game? Have you actually tried it? I want to know that.
So for me, this game is on here. I have not played it, but this game is on here because of the stank that is around it. And it has ruined other games' ability to be anything. And that is Chronicles of Ilaria. So this is the game that ruined all Kickstarter MMOs. It ruined all crowdfunding MMOs, and why everyone has such a terrible taste in their mouth for trusting gaming. And for good reason. You should know if you're pledging money to a game, you're not going to see it. You're probably not going to see it again. It is gambling, and sometimes it can be a scam, but this particular game really ruined it for everything. And so the only reason it's on my list, even though I haven't played it and didn't play it, is that it ruined the idea of being able to kickstart an MMO. And so it has, not only was it a giant turd like BDO, but also it has ruined the chances for other possibly great MMOs to come out. So again, I didn't know where to really put this on the ranking system. I kind of thought about it. Do I put it over DDO? No, DDO actually came out and people do like it, but this game shit on everything and everybody. And so for me, it had to be at least mentioned on this list because of the impact that it had on the MMO world. So for me, I hate it because of its impact, not because of its gameplay. So number 4, Chronicles of Ilaria.
I mean, we got levels of scumminess here, right? Like
Right.
there's levels of scumminess. We have like some MMOs that like they promise the world, but they just don't know any better. And they just don't understand that they can't possibly do whatever it is they're saying.
Right.
And then maybe we have like what I call the Star Citizen level of scumminess, where it's like we're going to take millions of dollars from you and we're just going to promise the moon, and there's no possible way that can happen, and this thing is just going to stay in development forever, but at least there's going to be a game there of some kind that people can play, right? That's kind of the star level. But then we have the ultimate betrayal, which was Chronicles of Ilaria, where it looked like a scam to begin with. It absolutely was a scam, and all they were after was people's money. Now, I have to have this little caveat in here because the Chronicles of Ilaria lawyers might sue me because they're involved in all kinds of court cases. But, this is just my opinion. Not actually, take it for what you will.
Right.
But yeah, it's the ultimate scummy MMO Kickstarter. And as you and I have backed Kickstarter MMO Pantheon, it really offends us. So yeah.
That was the only reason I put it on the list, is just because it deeply offends me and the integrity of the gaming world, and has put a lot of bad juju in the world towards MMOs. And so we're not going to, MMOs don't make corporate money, and so corporations are not willing to even give it a shot. So our only chance is the Kickstarter MMO, is the small indie company MMO to get the game that we want to play, Draq. So this has just ruined everyone's good faith, and it just needed to be said, and that's why I put it on here. So anyway, yeah. So let's move on. Let's move to your number 3, Draq.
Well, I totally copied your number 3, so I would like to cede my time to you for our dual number 3.
Perfect. We can absolutely discuss it together.
Bless Online, Bless Unleashed, Bless Reborn, Bless.
Oh, so much bless.
Triple blessed.
There's nothing about this game that is blessed.
This game started as an MMO, went to a mobile game, came back as a quasi 4-person co-op. I don't even know where this is at. All I know is that this game took all the worst parts of Black Desert Online and then paired them with really crappy developers that never actually crossed the finish line.
Right.
The only reason that this wasn't a complete scam is because I think, honestly, that the devs were trying to create something that they were passionate about. Just what they were passionate about was super crappy.
Yeah, it is not a good IP. I don't understand how they could even fathom that this was going to be popular with anybody. Like just the overall game itself is not good. There's just nothing redeeming about any part of this game at all. And this was another one that just didn't last long. Sometimes you try things hoping for the best, and they end up burning you. And that's what this game was. It just, so many turds. There are so many turd MMOs out there, Draq.
We found positive things to say about Fractured Online, okay? I have nothing positive to say about Bless.
Which is surprising, because there's not much to say positive about Fractured Online either.
But there were some things.
There was nothing about Bless, though. It was a blessing that we stopped playing this game as quickly as we did. So, this one was, I think, maybe 2 weeks at most. But I was so just bored with the game. It wasn't necessarily any one thing. It wasn't like, the combat was not great. The story was not great. It was just nothing redeeming. It had no good qualities about it. It just, you wanted to find something good, and there wasn't. And it's just the whole IP just go away, Bless. Just go away.
Time to start over. Do something different.
Yeah, exactly. Scrap the whole thing. Start over.
Break up the team.
Yeah, yep.
You gotta do something.
This is a bad one. This is bad. Poor Bless Online. I feel bad shitting all over them, but they deserve it for rolling this shit out. So let's move on. Drag number 2.
Number 2, and I know I'm going to catch some flack for this one, but there's no getting around it. Perfect World. And I'm talking about the original Perfect World. I cannot stand puzzles in my MMO. And you know what's worse than puzzles in my MMO? Is a whole game of puzzles. And that is an MMO. Oh my goodness. It's the worst MMO ever. I didn't even play this MMO, but I knew the moment that I saw it that it was going to be awful. And just like watching other people play it and watching other people figure out the really like crazy, super subtle hints that led them to figure out these quests. And I was just like, this is ridiculous. And I hate it even more now that you've explained it to me. So Perfect World, awful. I would never play a game like that. And it was the worst idea ever. And I'm glad that it died and then kind of came back as something different and has kind of died again. So get out, Perfect World.
I'm super glad. One of the big things about streaming that I really like, and when it first started happening, I was just like, why would anybody do this? And that is like watch people play video games. I used to be one of those people that were like, why would you ever do this? Why don't you just go play the game? Well, this is the perfect reason why, because I just want to make sure that it's something that I'm going to like and that I'm going to enjoy. But it's exactly games like this. Just, I'm glad that people do enjoy puzzle games and stuff like that. I've never played this game, but this is not something that I would enjoy. And I can't believe it was even considered an MMO. Like it just is a strange one to me. So yeah, so good, great story. And I'm glad I've fully come around. I watch people play video games all the time. I want to see what they're like before I jump into them. And it gives me the perfect preview because I can't necessarily trust magazines, when that's an old school thing. I can't really trust websites and reviews and things like that because who knows if they're getting paid or not.
You can't trust Reddit.
Yeah, exactly.
I want to see it being played.
Just let me watch it. I'll make the opinion myself and I'll buy the game if I like it. And yeah, so good story.
What about your number 2?
All right. I'm going to get some flack for this one. Actually, we're probably going to get flack for all of these because there are people out there that like these games, and hopefully not.
If you like these games, you should feel bad. Okay.
But yeah, so for me, number 2 is Final Fantasy XIV, the first attempt. Not what it is right now, which is a lot better. But
you and I are about to disagree.
The fact that a game company could say, hey, we messed up an entire huge franchise and say, oh God, stop the presses. We are completely stopping everything we've done. We're going to completely revamp the game. Just goes to show that this is clearly one of the worst games of all time. I didn't play it for a huge amount of time. I played the second pass at it more, even though that's like they really catered to the Final Fantasy player for an MMO, which is very interesting. I'm honestly shocked, Draq, that you didn't put this on your list at all. The current game, because I know you don't necessarily care for this.
Almost made it. I almost did that, but
you should have put it on there. But
nah, SWTOR's worse. I'm sorry, it just
fair,
is.
Fair. But and I get why you don't like Final Fantasy XIV in its current state, and you would be more pro for this first attempt at Final Fantasy. But so many people hated this game so badly that they almost ruined a multi-billion-dollar franchise, probably not multi-million-dollar franchise, and almost ruined a company altogether. Like, I loved Final Fantasy 16. That's the most recent one that just has come out. And if this game would have ruined that so that I didn't get this game, I'd have been real upset because Final Fantasy 16 was a banger. And so for them to be able to take a step back and say, oh, we shit the bed royally, remake the game in its entirety, more geared towards the Final Fantasy setting and the Final Fantasy player themselves, and roll it out again, to me says that this first attempt at this game is by far one of the worst games ever made. So, Jack, please tell me why I'm wrong.
You're wrong, because they didn't need to remake the game. They just needed to fix the game they had. It was just too grindy. I think the bones of the game was really good, and I enjoyed it for a while. It was just like, it was like Pantheon when we were in Pantheon pre-alpha, and they dialed the experience down so hard that you had to kill 500 mobs to get to a level. You remember that?
Of course.
Period. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Except they launched with it, and then they were like, no, this is how the game is. This is the difficulty level. Suck it up, noobs. Like, like all they had to do was just roll it back a little bit. Like, it doesn't have, you didn't have to roll it back to, like, 4 mobs to every level, but you could have rolled it back to 250 mobs per level, right? Like, I just feel like they abandoned the entire premise of an MMO when they made the new version of Final Fantasy 14. And it's awful.
But that's not what the Final Fantasy player wanted.
I don't care about the Final Fantasy player. I'm an MMO player, not a Final Fantasy nut. So yeah, no, I can't hang with you here. Sorry.
That's fine. That's fine. This is my opinion and my list. So the real reason I'm only putting it on here, it wasn't a bad game. It was fine enough. I didn't stick with it long enough to really give it anything because of that grind. It was too much. And I just didn't really get into it like I did. I was expecting more Final Fantasy. So I kind of like the newer version of Final Fantasy 14 than I do this old one. But yeah, the fact that they had to redo the whole game is why it's on this list. It almost ruined an entire company and franchise that I love. So that's why it's on my list as most hated. So if don't come at Final Fantasy, that's all I'm saying. All right, Jack, we're at the number ones. These are going to be great ones. I'm feeling it. There's going to be a lot of hate here.
There's going to be some discussion here. All right. So we talked about Chronicles of Illyria earlier and how it was a scam, right?
Right.
So I feel that ArcAge Online is basically just Chronicles of Illyria, but it released and is socially accepted by the public. Like,
because of the release?
I don't know. I think it was just before people understood what was happening. And so they got enough people that accepted it as a game that it just kept moving forward. It is a giant scam and basically kind of a pyramid scheme also. Like, it's totally 100% pay to win. It's pay to win over long periods of time. You pay, you keep paying, and you keep paying some more. And it was the original, like, mobile game MMO where you just keep dumping money into this thing over and over and over again. And the more you paid, the more powerful you became. And you just have these whales that just sit there and spend tons of money and become the most powerful people. And I really think it ushered in our current MMOs like Throne and Liberty that are just, if you have enough money, if you're a swiper, as the cool kids say, then you get to win. And so for that is the most awful thing that's happened to MMOs since I started following this genre. And so ArcAge, you are horrible, and I hope you die a flaming death. Because not only have you ruined your own game, you've ruined the whole genre with your pay to win crap, and I despise you.
I love it. I love the hate. No, that's absolutely acceptable. And the only reason this didn't make my list is because I've never played it. I don't know anything about it, so I can't argue it with you. But yeah, we don't like pay to win, even though I play gacha games all the time, like Pokemon TCG, the new pocket game where they're just taking my money all the time. It's just, it is what it is. Some things I'm willing to spend a bunch of money on, but bad gameplay is not one of those, and that's why I stayed away from that.
Oh, I can't. I don't even know if I can do this.
Oh, it's happening. This is happening.
I feel like before we even start, I feel like I bear some sense of responsibility.
You do.
For this pick.
You absolutely do.
I feel like this is mostly just hate against me.
No, come on, Draq.
No, I feel like I hyped you up so much for this MMO, and I like painted this picture of like Brad coming down from the heavens and placing an MMO in front of you, and it was going to be the most amazing thing. And then when it didn't live up to that, you were just angry. You were angry at me. You were angry at the MMO. You've been angry since then. I think you're still angry.
Very much so.
And so I feel like it's misdirected. I feel like it's probably my fault. And number two, you should probably forgive me. So maybe we need to dive into that a little bit.
Well, for that one, you'll have to bring Redbeard Flynn on, and we'll have to have a chat about it.
So how about it? Let's hear your number one.
My number one, and I hope Desrin hears this, even though I know he doesn't listen to the show, is Vanguard. This game was supposed to be God's gift to MMOs, and it rolled out, and we played the shit out of it for about 3 days before I said, F this game is terrible, I'm out. Let me know when we pick something else. I was so unbelievably disappointed in this game. And it wasn't just you, Draq. I knew who Brad was. I knew that this was supposed to be like the next big MMO deal. And then, unfortunately, WoW won, and EverQuest 2 was like a distant second, and it left this game in the dust. And it got done dirty. Don't get me wrong. Sony did this game dirty by pushing it out. It knew that this game was going to rival EQ2, and they didn't want to split their dollar potential by paying two different sets of developers, by paying two different games to keep going. They wanted all the EQ people to be on EQ2. So on purpose, they ruined this game. And so that sucks. But the fact that this game came out and we played it and it was so unbelievably bad. We both gave Pantheon in this early access a 9 out of 10. This is a 1 out of 10 on the launch. Everything was broken. Nothing
Possibly
was done.
The worst MMO launch ever.
Ever.
If you weren't a part of it. It's the worst one ever.
I will never unhate this game for that. And it's not even their fault. It's not Brad's fault. It's not Vanguard, the developers of Vanguard's fault. It's squarely on Sony. Fuck them. Fuck you, Sony. You've made a lot of great products and games and all sorts of stuff. But for this one, you get a big fuck you from me. And I was so excited for the Bard in this game to be able to, quote unquote, compose my own songs. And eventually it got there. And I know that it eventually fixed itself. And there are a lot of people that love this game. But the fact that also the game doesn't exist anymore, like this, even the emulator is not the game. They've had to try to figure out the game backwards. No one has the game itself.
No one at Sony has the actual game files.
It's gone. The game is gone. That's how pathetic it was. They just threw it away. They hit the permanent delete button and then took the hard drive and smashed it with a hammer. Gone forever. Nothing to even try to get back to. And I'm glad that there are people that are trying to relive this game and make it a thing again. But I will never play it. And it's because of what Sony did to it. And I hope that emulator becomes one of the greatest things, the greatest emulations of all time. I wish nothing but the success for those people that are trying to rebuild that game. But I hate it so much for what it did to my psyche. So I will never be able to forgive.
It kind of broke up our static at the time as well.
It did. This was like the end.
Only you and I survived it. Everybody else is not playing MMOs anymore. Well, Chad came back. But yeah, the rest of the crew that we had like 8 people that were playing MMOs with us. Hardcore. We were hardcore. And it crushed us. Every single one of us. It crushed us.
Yep. And we lost track of many of those people. And it just has, it made me stop playing MMOs altogether for a while. And it wasn't until it was a couple years down the line where you dragged me back into something. I don't even remember what it was. Maybe we just started playing EQ again. Who knows? But yeah, it was devastating. And so it's not that this was a bad game, because I'm sure people love it and it became something great, but it's because of what it did to us, what it did to my psyche, what it rolled out with was pure vomit. I cannot forgive, and this is the number one hated MMORPG of all time for me. Vanguard. Fuck you.
All right. I'm done taking the punishment from you on this. Let's move on to our VIP rewind or Patreons. Let's move on to our Patreons. What do they think are the worst MMOs?
Well, I'm sure that they're real bangers like ours were, but let's. Who do you want to start with today? Who do you think is the best one to start with?
I think that since Annoying Llama decided this category, that we should start with him.
Okay. And once again, Draq, I'm relying very heavily on you because I'm looking at Annoying Llama's list, and I've not played one of these games. So please, if you could, by the magic of the internets, pop up all three of these lists that we have. All right. So Annoying Llama, number 5, Terra Online. Never played it.
So Terra Online, you're gonna dig this. You're gonna get some hate going for this. Terra Online was, by my count, and maybe I'm wrong here, but I'm pretty sure I'm right, was the first action MMO that was ever created. So the first MMO that wasn't tab targeted. It was the first action MMO.
Yeah, get out of here.
It was also very Asian. And so it was one of the first big Asian MMOs that put in like the super grindy elements. Like when you think of grindy Asian MMOs, Terra was one of the first ones that brought that to the scene as well. So a couple of not great things that it brought into the MMO sphere.
I hate it. I hate it so much. I'm glad I never played it. Number 4, World of Kings, a mobile MMO. Oh, those two words together, yeah, I'm out. I'm out. Absolutely out. Like, I know that we're talking about Blue Protocol and maybe playing that, but it's no longer really an MMO in my eyes. It's absolutely 100% gacha game now. So I don't think what's going to come out is not what Blue Protocol was going to be. I think it's just going to be straight gacha. So I can't even say that that's going to be an MMO. So, but when we put the words MMO and mobile together, just don't even. Did you even play this?
No, I have no idea what it is. No,
moving on. Mobile MMO, get out. Number 3, Adventure Quest 3D.
Oh my goodness, I wanted this game to be so good. It is such a great idea. The idea of a 2D MMORPG where you have your character on the screen and you have a Final Fantasy type, attacks on and then you group up
turn-based
type attacks, and you fight monsters and you group up with people, but it's just awful gameplay. It's awful gameplay. And it ends up just being really awful. You end up soloing almost everything. Eventually you just get god gear and you just go around and kill everything in one hit. And it just never panned out to what it could have been if they just would have made it kind of group based and kind of like difficult. It's not difficult at all. You just go around and
just roll through it. Ugh,
you just roll.
Gross. Yep. Well, that definitely belongs on these lists. Destiny 2.
This isn't an MMO. Destiny is not. I don't consider Destiny to be an MMO. First of all,
I kind of thought that too.
It's a shooter. No shooter is an MMO. I don't put. What's the one we used, or me and Pigs used to play?
Tribes?
Well, Tribes isn't an MMO, but I'm thinking the Sony one where you had the 3 sides. PlanetSide.
Oh, right.
Remember PlanetSide? You had the 3 different factions. That's not an MMO either. That's just a shooter that you have teams. And I kind of feel the same way about Destiny. Just because you have a layout and kind of a skill tree, that doesn't make it an MMO. And it's not PvE. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's a shooter. It's not an MMO.
Man, Llama. Terrible list so far. So, and then of course one Arcade. So clearly this is a terrible game.
I mean, rightly deserved. Number 1, one of the worst MMOs ever created, and shame on you, Arcade people.
Love it. I love it. All right. Well, let's move on to Archbishops. Number 5, a New World. Shockingly, seeing New World on here.
Oh my goodness!
Come on,
Get
it
the
wasn't.
New World hate out. It's not the top 5 worst MMOs.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too.
No. I mean, it has action combat, which, okay, most new MMOs do. I thought the launch was fun. We had fun for probably, what?
3 weeks?
No,
A month?
it was long. 2 months?
Okay, 2 months.
2 months. It was fun for 2 months. I spent $40 on the game. There was no sub.
Right.
Like, there's still updates for this no sub game being put out right now. I think there's only one expansion.
Yeah.
And
it didn't make any money, and they're still doing it. So good on Amazon for at least following through. They tried. It wasn't great. They had to reset it, and it still wasn't great. And then now we're here.
It's not the greatest MMO of all time, but it's not.
Certainly not top 5. I agree. Number 4, Crowfall.
This is a PvP game. So we saw this coming like 100,000 miles away. There was no way we were ever going to play a PvP only game. And
definitely didn't play it.
This game released for like a week and a half and then went broke because you can't create a PvP only MMO and expect to win. That's the lesson. That's why New World failed, right? Because originally it was a PvP game, and then the developers realized, oh crap, we can't make any money making a PvP game. So then they added a bunch of PvE stuff last minute, and it didn't work out because you can't do that. Just add PvE content last minute and expect it to work. But Crowfall stuck to its guns and was like, we're making a PvP only game. Well, the problem is, if you don't get enough people in your game, then your game's dead. And that's what happened.
Well, for good reason. PvP's terrible. Number 3, Lost Ark.
I mean, Lost Ark's pretty terrible. Is this an MMO? It's right on the edge.
I didn't play it.
I don't know that it's an MMO, but if it is, it's pretty bad. Very pay to win. Yeah,
that's all you got to say to me, and I'm out. Pay to win games all belong on top 5 hated MMOs of all time.
It's kind of Diablo pay to win MMO.
Gross. All right. Well, get out of here, Lost Ark. Next one we already talked about, Black Desert Online. Good to see that show itself again.
Solid.
Yep, solid pick. And then last but not least, Diablo Immortal.
Also not an MMO. Diablo Immortal is not an MMO. What is going on here?
Clearly our Patreon knows their MMOs very well.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, what you think about Diablo Immortal aside, it's not an MMO. It's just not. It's a co-op game, but co-op games are not MMOs.
Nope. Got to have at least 6 people in a group to be an MMO.
And you have to be able to interact with thousands of other people online.
Yeah. Yep.
Or at least the possibility of interacting with thousands of people online, which doesn't happen in Diablo Immortal.
Well, great job, Archbishops. Your list was awful. Just living up to your hype. All right, let's move on to Zip.
Maybe Zip is better.
We'll see. Number 5, DDO. Hey, he had DDO on here too.
He played DDO. He loves DDO. I don't understand. Maybe he's so frustrated with it. Maybe that's why he put it on the list.
Maybe. Well, it belongs on there because it's not good. Number 4, Crowfall again.
Yeah, I bet he got sucked into Crowfall hard because he loves the PvP. So I bet he was all over that, and then it died hard and fast. So I bet he's pissed about that.
I would be bitter too if there was a game that I played, sucked so bad on launch and made me waste a bunch of money and almost ruined friendships. And sorry, I didn't mean to slip back into Vanguard there.
Stop it! Just stop it.
All right, number 3. I knew this would come out on someone's list. I knew it would be here somewhere. WoW Retail.
I mean, this is our obligatory. Let's pick on the biggest monkey in the room and throw WoW Retail under the bus. I think it's fine. I wouldn't put it as my top 5 most hated.
I mean, it's arguably the greatest MMORPG of all time, right? Like, I think the arguments for it.
Yeah, I think the WoW classic people really dislike the direction that WoW took.
It's the same thing with EQ, right? Like
Same thing, which is very fair, and I understand that frustration. But I don't think I can put it on a top 5 most hated MMOs.
Just no way. I mean, not so many people still to this day play that game. Unbelievable numbers. If
crazy.
Pantheon could get a slice of those numbers,
1/1000 of the WoW population, and it would be a astronomical success.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, it would be out of this world success.
So it's hard to put something that's so successful on the list. So
yeah, real hard.
Yeah. Number 2, Star Citizen.
Is
fair.
Is this
it's
a game? Is this?
It's not a game yet.
I don't know that this is a game.
It's just a FOMO. Is that a new genre of video game? Is FOMO?
Every week I read comments in my YouTube channel about how Pantheon is not a game. And
right?
Like as we're playing the game every week, I can't imagine how
ain't nobody playing this game.
I mean, I see people playing Star Citizen, but are they playing aspects of Star Citizen or are they playing the actual game? I don't know.
Tough to say. No one will ever know.
I know. Here's what I know. That I have a spot reserved on Desrin's starship that he bought. And I'm a gunner. I've reserved my spot as a gunner on Desrin's ship if it ever comes out. So I'm good to go.
Sweet. So what you're saying is Star Citizen is the funeral oh God, what is it I'm thinking of? Where you buy your plot at the cemetery. You have bought your plot.
The mausoleum?
Yeah, in Star Citizen for when you die and the very last
there'll be an entry in my will that one of my kids can be the gunner in Desrin's ship in Star Citizen.
That's hilarious. Oh, that's so funny that you have your plot already picked out in Star Citizen where you will go to die. And last but not least, Chronicles of Ilaria.
I mean, he just went whole hard here. He was just like, screw those guys. They're getting number 1. I can't fault him here. I think it is deserving of a number 1 thing. And if you were directly involved with that or you pledged to that game,
you feel like trash.
You would be pissed. You would be pissed. So I totally understand that.
Yep. I totally understand all these frustrations of all these games. Even if they're not MMOs, we can still all be frustrated with them. So no real spice here other than our spice towards the game itself.
Towards evil MMO companies taking advantage of us.
We need MMO Cop here to take over and blow up all these game companies. Game Ago, we're coming for you.
Before you leave, we've one final word. Before you've forgotten all that you've heard, there is a moment evergreen. Stay here a while and listen to me.
All right. Dymlos, I feel like I need a nap. It's been a long freaking weekend.
Oh, I am exhausted. But I want to go either play some Pantheon or craft some armor and weapons. So I'm probably going to hop on and crank out something for a couple hours before I go to bed.
Listen, you ain't getting no time for that. You better get on editing this podcast like right now.
You have to upload it first. It takes longer than that. Plus, I'm just going to let this one go. Like, I'm just going to send it back to you all as is.
It's just going to be Friday at like 7:30. You're going to send me the thing.
I didn't touch this. Just put it on the interwebs. Go. I'm too exhausted to touch this.
Sorry, I had to play more Pantheon.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have time to edit. It's Pantheon
Needed
time.
to go mine some more Asherite.
Hey, you want me with good weapons, so yeah, you got to do what you got to do. Good show, though, Draq. I'm glad that we had a good early access. It's positivity going forward. I'm very excited.
Onward and upward.
Onward and upward.
Guys, I can't believe that we forgot to put this in. But Thursday, December 26th, we are going to do our end of the year Pantheon stream. We're going to have Savanya. We're going to have Nathan Napalm. We're going to have Oren. We're going to have Kalaris. It's going to be so much fun. Make sure you come and watch us. There will be more details in the Discord. End of the year Pantheon stream for staticgroup.live. Be there or be square. Draq out.